Hey everybody, this is Professor Jason Snart. I will be your instructor for the first 5-week online summer term here at quote-unquote COD. I think especially in summer there is a pretty interesting mix of students who take online classes who are actually on campus doing courses or other stuff anyways, but also people who are not necessarily close by in the state, even in the country, so it makes for an interesting mix of people. So I'm doing this initial welcome video just so you know that I'm like a real person in a real office here on campus. Part of what I hope will feel to you, even in our really abbreviated 5-week term, like you're actually in a class with other people, students that you'll meet and get to know a little bit, and of course me as an actual human being, not just some distant email sender or computer user somewhere. I think especially with online classes, we always run the risk of feeling a little bit detached or disengaged, and that never makes for a positive experience, and it often really affects what we take away from the class, not just, again, kind of the soft skill or emotional connection side of it, but even the actual course content. I feel like the more engaged we are, not just with the course, but with the people in the course, the more meaningful it is, so the better learning experience it can be. So this is just part of what, again, I hope will feel to you like a course that you're taking that really is a class, and you have classmates, and you have me as a professor that you can reach out to, and am an actual person here. But most, though, of the videos that I'll record are actually me talking, but a screenshot of our course. And so these aren't designed to be like lecture. They're certainly not pre-scripted, as you can probably hear. And so it's not like you have to watch these and take notes on them, or that this is how I deliver the course. But it is important to watch these, because what I'll do is kind of remind us where we're at in our schedule of due dates, not just things that are right around the corner, but kind of a little bit further down too. Maybe I'll touch on main concepts that we've covered in the course, but I'll review a little bit or point out really some of the key elements that we're discussing. I'll also try as much as possible to give you a sense of the bigger picture of our course. And so, especially in the 5-week term, because everything is so compressed, it often feels, I think, from the student side, like we move so quickly from one thing to the next to the next. It's sort of a jagged experience, and you're just barely keeping up. Because as soon as you finish one thing, there's another due date right around the corner. And so it can feel a little disconnected, like it's just a series of things you're doing. There's no bigger picture to it. So again, one of the things that I'll try to do in these video announcements is to connect those dots a little bit, so we do have that bigger picture of what we've done in our course, what we're in the middle of doing, and how that sort of fits in with where we're ultimately going. And again, it's a screenshot of our course, so you'll be seeing on my screen what we're all sort of seeing as part of the course. So a couple of just really generic things, and this is probably pretty predictable of me to say, but it's really important to be aware of this 5-week condensed format. So it's still a full 3-credit class that you can knock out in 5 weeks, but keep in mind that a traditional semester-long class is going to be 16 weeks, so that's 3 credits over 16 weeks. And so in that format, let's say you're in a face-to-face class, you would go 3 times a week for the 50-minute hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So that's 3 hours every week, and that's just class time. Forget about homework or outside project work or whatever the case might be. And so think about that condensed into a 5-week term. Think of the number of hours per week, right, instead of that 9 per week. The 3 per week that you'd be in class in that 16-week format. It's almost like you triple everything, because instead of the 16 weeks, we're down to 5, sort of a third-ish. We're 3 times as fast. Am I confusing everybody? This is not a math class, as you can probably tell. Anyway, just do the math, though, about the sheer number of hours you would be in a classroom if this were a 5-week, fully face-to-face class. And again, that's just class time. Forget about homework. So are you thinking, oh my God, this is going to take me like that many hours per week? Or that seems totally unreasonable. Again, if you were in the face-to-face version, you'd just be in class anyway, so it sort of would regardless. But truthfully, the online format isn't easier, and it's not really less time, but the time is a little bit more in your control. So it feels, I think, less time intensive, even though it's really not at the end of the day, because you can manage when you're doing the coursework. Early in the morning, late at night, a mixture of those two, somewhere in the middle, whatever works for your schedule. That's the nice part. But keep in mind that it's still going to be a lot of work, right? The 16 weeks condensed into 5, so sort of like 3 times the number of hours per week that you would normally spend on a class, just in class. And then, of course, there's some units that we'll work through that are much less labor intensive, and some that are a little bit more. So it's not like that regular every single unit or every single week is going to take exactly the same amount of time. So this is all a really circuitous way of saying what everybody already knows, that time management is really critical. And this isn't a self-paced course. It's not just you doing the coursework. You're interacting with your classmates. You're interacting with me. We have a series of units that you'll see in our course, a series of due dates that we work through. So it's not like you're just totally at your own pace. But still, within that framework, there's lots of opportunity for you to manage your time slightly more flexibly than having to be in class from like 9 to 12 or whatever the block of time might be if you were like in a fully face-to-face environment. And so per my other comment about, especially in summer, there's people who are here on campus but also, not even in the country. It is really important for those of you who are not local to be aware of what time zone you're in. And I know it sounds sort of corny to say and maybe obvious, I don't know. But it's easy to forget that a noon due date is noon here, right, at COD, not noon in Europe or Eastern or Pacific or wherever you happen to be. I've even suggested to some students that they have 2 clocks or 2 digital clocks available, one that shows their local time, but also one that shows like our time, Central Standard Time, because that's the due date time. You'll also notice in our due dates that there's always a main due date, right, when major posts or major work for a unit would be due. But because so much of what we do is interactive, where you're posting but then replying, we have a series or a system of due dates that usually features 2, and that's so that everybody doesn't wait till the last minute and then you're trying to post and reply within this like really artificial sort of 30-minute time frame. You'll see that even that's condensed in the 5-week term, so there's a little stagger between when, say, an initial post to a discussion board would be due versus the replies, but at least it gives a little bit of lag time. All this being said, though, right, time management, and then the other component of it goes again to that sort of sense of engagement. You'll notice that there's lots of opportunities to reply to classmates, to sort of be a person in the class on your end. And so that's not sort of coincidental, it's not just idiosyncratic, it really is, I think, tied to a teaching philosophy that says that if students are engaged as students, sort of with each other in that community experience of learning, you just learn more, you learn better, you learn more deeply. So a lot of what we do, even if it doesn't seem directly focused on the content, and it's not just you getting an assignment and doing it and submitting it to me, that sort of one-to-one correspondence school model, it's not just like frivolous time filler. It really is part of getting people feeling like they're part of this community and interacting with each other, and even getting to know people outside of just our coursework. You'll notice that our first unit is basically just an introductions unit, not course content right off the bat. So I'll leave it at that, I guess. So time management, super important, and just being aware of like where you are relative to our due date schedule. Getting situated in the course is really important. So again, introducing yourself, but also figuring out like how the course is laid out, where you go to find information, whether it's textbook stuff. All of the work for the course is in the units list or link that you'll see in our course menu. So I've really tried to make it as sort of transparent and easy to use as possible. But I know that what is obvious to some people takes a while for others to get if you haven't seen it before, or you took another course that was laid out differently, or whatever the case might be. So welcome to the course. Welcome to the first 5 weeks in summer. It goes by super fast. It's a little bit like going to the gym. It takes a while to sort of gear yourself up to do it. When you're in there, it can be a bit of a slog. But then when you're done, you're like, man, I'm glad I did that. Now I can take it easy. So keep that in mind. Keep the big picture, the end goal in mind. And it does go fast. Even if it's not always going to feel like it's going fast, it really does happen pretty quickly. So get yourself situated in the course. Feel comfortable. Shoot me an email if you see just a mistake, a link that doesn't work, a obvious typo, anything like that. If anything's unclear to you, be sure to read it. So don't make me your first go-to to explain the course necessarily, but I'm certainly here to clarify things or correct things if there's just a mistake in there. Check that due date list because we start right away. I'll do another one of these announcements, again, more of the screenshot kind, to walk us through due dates and stuff in fairly short order here. But for now, welcome to the course. Welcome to the first 5 weeks, and get to know your classmates. Enjoy the course, God forbid, right? Okay, again, shoot me an email if you see anything that's just flat out wrong, things that don't work, or if you're just a little bit confused.